If folks could come in, it's really hard to do public speaking when everybody's 100 yards away. In San Francisco, amidst all the challenges we're experiencing with housing and homelessness, it's always an exciting day. We have a great, well, any event, I'm Doug Shoemaker. I'm the president of Mercy Housing California. I'm here to welcome you today to a building opening, but it's not just an ordinary building opening. It's a building opening in honor of Sister Lillian Murphy, who you're going to hear a lot about today. This is a great event, obviously, because anytime we open new homes, new affordable homes in San Francisco amidst all the challenges we're experiencing with housing and homelessness, it's always an exciting day. We have a great set of speakers to represents and who Sister Lillian is and was. So I'm sort of founder, Patricia O'Rourke. And there are other folks as well. I'll be mentioning more folks as we get closer, as we go through the agenda. But I just want to take a sec. So some of you are here specifically because you knew Lillian, and some of you are here because you know Mercy Housing or some combination of the two. Families, seniors, people that are coming out of homelessness. I was talking to Dolly earlier, increasing numbers of vets, and a whole host of other folks that are just unable to afford the markets in which we find ourselves building housing, and that is an incredible achievement. So, nowhere is it harder in some ways, but also easier than in the city of San Francisco. Harder because, as everybody knows, this is a very expensive city to build in. Easier because we couldn't ask for a more supportive group of elected officials and a public that really believes in this, and none more so than the supervisor for this district, Supervisor Matt Haney, who's going to come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Doug, and it is a beautiful day to have this dedication for this facility and also to honor an extraordinary person and leader. I want to first acknowledge and recognize all of the family and friends of Sister Murphy and Lillian for your work with her, for your support of her work, learning more about what she accomplished, both in terms of the depth and breadth and the way that she did it, the personality that she had. We feel that impact here in San Francisco every day. Mercy Housing is not only building facilities and units, it's building communities. And it's doing it by instilling a level of care and compassion for the people who live in these communities. And this particular building is in many ways an exemplar of that. It includes not only housing, but for all of the folks who are here and are part of building this community, I also want to give a special recognition to you. I know that what happens in a building like this is not only a bed for someone to lay on, but also a person for them to talk to, a childcare center, services like music lessons, and a general sense that when you are here, you're supported and you're taken care of. And I'm sure that that was a vision that all of you had for what Mercy could provide. And I think it's a special day to be able to dedicate this particular facility that so much demonstrates those values. And thank you to everyone who made this happen. You know, we always, Doug obviously was a huge part of this, but I know there are folks from the city who are here. There are people who helped to finance it, Bank of America. There's the folks from the national organization, the faith community, contractors, people who actually built this with their hands, and none of this could happen without you. I just want to say to close, I represent a district that stretches from here in Mission Bay all the way up to the Tenderloin. And we are building a lot of affordable housing for families in San Francisco, especially in communities like the Tenderloin. And every single time we cut a ribbon, it's special, but it's especially special when we cut a ribbon in a place like this, because we also get to say that every neighborhood in our city, every community in our city should have buildings that are affordable for families, that this shouldn't be something that is rare, it should be something that is common in our city. And Mission Bay, I think, is beginning to demonstrate that in a way that should provide an example for communities across the city and country. When you walk down here, you'll listen to people walking around or going to the Warriors game or going to get some food here across the street, and they'll look up at these buildings and go, wow, this is a fancy community. Look at how all of these fancy, expensive buildings are going up. And one of my favorite things to do is to be able to correct people and say, yes, that's a fancy building, but it's an affordable building. It's an affordable building for families. And everybody, whatever their income level, deserves to have access to housing as beautiful and thriving as this building we are in right now. And so I'm very proud of the Mission Bay community. And I'm excited for the future of this neighborhood. Just across the street, we're going to build the first new school in San Francisco in 20 years. Public school will be able to serve the families of this community. So thank you so much for everyone who made this happen. Thank you to the Mission Bay community. Thank you to the residents for allowing us to be here and celebrate with you. And this is a powerful, powerful testament to Sister Murphy and who she was and her values, and also what is possible in our city and what we need a lot more. Thank you.
For those of you that are from San Francisco, you know she needs no introduction. She's one of the great housing champions that there is, and with that, I'll give you Mayor London Breed.
Thank you, Doug. It really is great to be here and to see all of you. Hell, to see anybody. It's been 2 years of a global pandemic, and so the fact that we are able to come together in this capacity is really extraordinary. Forgive me, sisters who are here, for using a bad word. But I gotta say, I'm really excited to be here today, and it's always great to be here with some of our major housing funders, including Liz Minnick, I know is here from Bank of America. Thank you, Liz, and to Bank of America. We've been doing a lot of these groundbreakings for so many years because of the financial support afforded to projects, especially affordable housing projects in the city and county of San Francisco. And it's always great to be with Gustavo Velasquez, who is now my new favorite person in the whole wide state, because he really supports and believes in San Francisco. And we know it's very, very expensive to build here. And so having, you know, both private and state financial support to get projects like this done is really extraordinary. But it's not just about the financing, it's about the people that make up the communities. And part of what's so important to me and what I fought really hard for even before I became mayor was to make sure that as we build housing in San Francisco, when we talk about building affordable housing in San Francisco, we have to make sure there's a direct connection between the units and the people who are part of the fabric of San Francisco. And making that connection is so important. And neighborhood preference has played a vital role in ensuring that when we build it, that the ability for people who are part of the fabric of the community to live here is a part of what we do. This property is named for someone who has clearly been a real strong advocate for housing, especially affordable housing, as a champion when she was responsible for Mercy Housing. Lillian Murphy, Sister Lillian Murphy, who I know many of you were fortunate enough to either work with, have a relationship with, and over the years helped to spearhead under Mercy so many various developments all over San Francisco. And the people who are fortunate enough to have access to affordable housing, that a beautiful place to call home, are fortunate because of the work she's done. And it is so fitting that this particular development has her name representing her work, her legacy, and someone that we can remember and try to emulate in what we try to do to push forward to ensure that housing and access to housing exists for all people. She believed it should be a right, and in San Francisco we have to work every single day to break down the barriers of bureaucracy, to raise the resources in order to get this housing built soon as we can to ensure that people are housed in our city, because we know it continues to be a challenge. And with that, I want to also thank so many people who have been involved in this, including Mercy Housing for their continued work and advocacy. I really want to thank all the construction workers, all the people who help with the job placements and continue the work even throughout the pandemic. I know Success Center and Liz is here who played a really important role in not only placement of folks who work on this project, but more importantly, long-term ensuring that this child care center and all the other resources that are going to be made available to the community, that these places, they thrive and they're available to the people who need them the most. We got a lot of work to do in San Francisco. And when I think about growing up here, and I think about how much things have changed and how many people have moved from our city, people that I grew up with, I'm really excited and happy that I see some familiar faces that actually live in this development. And it feels good, because this is why I work so hard. I want to see a direct connection between the people we know need the housing and the ability for them to be a part of these extraordinary communities that we are all working so hard to build. So yes, we have challenges, Jamal, but we are going to get them fixed sooner rather than later. But you know what I have learned from this pandemic more than any time I think in my life is, you know, we lived through a global pandemic, something that many of us never thought we would even experience, only something we would read in the Bible and the history books and things of that nature. We lived through this over 2 years. We struggled, we were away from one another, we lost friends, we lost loved ones, and what I learned from this pandemic is how important it is to focus on the positive, you know, to focus on how we come together as a city, as a community, to make things better, how we stick to not just complaining about the challenges and the struggle and what we lost, but what we gain by looking out for one another, what we gain by supporting and uplifting one another. We in San Francisco were one of the first cities to shut down, and although there were people's lives that were lost because of this pandemic, we, as one of the densest cities in the country, saw one of the lowest death rates and are seeing one of the highest vaccination rates anywhere. That is something to be proud of, but it is something that is also going to usher us into the future with a renewed commitment to ensure that we accomplish so many things for this city based on how great we did during the pandemic. We can adopt many of those same things that we did to use them in order to help transform our city for the better. Looking out towards a positive outlook, we will be able to build more housing and get people who are struggling with homelessness off the streets. Looking forward to building more housing and more projects like this, we will make sure that people are housing secure and housing is a right, and we continue to see those families and those people and those who might be struggling with addiction or mental illness have the life that they deserve, one of dignity and one that we know Sister Lillian Murphy would be truly proud to see. Thank you so much all for being here, and we look forward to getting this project.
Taggart Architects and Studio Barra, the landscape architect.
GLS Landscape Architecture, our phenomenal project management and property management and services team, but I want to particularly call out William Ho, who is the project developer for this. William, you're here somewhere. William has the unfortunate distinction of being the one we give the projects we're most excited about that then take long times to build, but not this one. So really happy that you were able to get this over the line. So as I said earlier, these buildings spring together a lot of different financial partners. You heard about the local commitment and the state commitment. We have a loan from the California Community Reinvestment Corporation. Say that 4 times fast. But great partners there. And then on what funds a lot of these buildings, for those of you that come to affordable housing openings, is some obscure thing that is really important called the low-income housing tax credit. And it is the backbone of the work that we do. We have the incredible honor of partnering with Bank of America on a lot of these deals. They're a phenomenal partner on both tax credits and on the lending side. Over $100 million of capital total that has gone into this from our partners at Bank of America. And as the mayor pointed out, we get to see Liz at a lot of these events because they're so active in the city of San Francisco and with Mercy Housing. With that, I want to bring up Liz Minnick, who's the market executive for Bank.
Thank you, Doug, and good morning, everybody. I will go fast because I know we have a lot more speakers to get through as well. We are so honored to be here. Bank of America was founded in San Francisco in 1904, and our dedication to this amazing community remains. As both the mayor and Doug cited, we are so grateful that we get to do a lot of these and continue to see our city thrive, and especially come back to life over what everyone has endured over the last 2 years. I'll continue to add to the thanks for our wonderful partners at Mercy Housing, the City of San Francisco, the Supervisor's Office, the Mayor's Office of Housing and Community Development, Office of Community Investment and Infrastructure. Now I get to do these words fast, Doug. California Community Reinvestment Corporation and the California Department of Housing and Community Development. Thank you all so much, and it truly is an honor to be here with you today.
So a couple other shout outs. I know we have several board members, both national and local. So I see the Swifts back there, but other board members here, if you could just raise your hand and be thanked for your service. I don't remember which speaker said it, but this building is more than just housing. One of the things that we really pride ourselves on at Mercy is trying to figure out when we're building a new housing development, what does a neighborhood want? What does a neighborhood need? What's missing, or what might make the neighborhood better? So I don't think Barbara Gualco's here today, but Barbara, who many of you know has been a longtime director of real estate, is our specialist. She's sort of like takes out the tuning fork, walks around the neighborhood and figures out what it needs. And so we are really lucky to have two great partners on this site. Minnick Childcare, which is going to have 40 childcare spaces. They're building out their space here. And Blue Bear School of Music, which is, I just learned this is their first sort of permanent location, and they're going to be operating out of here. They're also in Fort Mason, so welcome them to the neighborhood. These buildings ultimately are home to just a lot of different types of people. I mean, that's sort of an obvious thing to say, but I said it. So now I can't undo it. But there's 152 affordable homes here, serving a really wide range. We have all the way up to 5-bedroom apartments here, from studios all the way to 5 bedrooms. You know, really, given the range of folks that live in our city, with an incredibly wide range of income. So we have folks who are here and paying, very, very little in rent, that fits what their household can afford, all the way up to folks earning $80,000, even $100,000 a year. And that mix of incomes is sort of what we believe makes for healthy communities. But, as a goal, we always try and make sure these buildings serve the deepest affordability possible, which is really only something we can do with the partnerships from the public agencies that you heard about today. The other thing that's really special about this particular building, some of you may know we are lucky enough to be in partnership with residents at Sunnydale and the Housing Authority of the city on working on Sunnydale Hope SF. And so as part of that development, 25% of all the homes in this building were set aside for folks living in Sunnydale that wanted to move over here. That particular development had many years of construction ahead of it. So there are 25% of the 152 homes here were taken up by residents that moved from Sunnydale over here, and then they have a right to move back to Sunnydale if they want, or they can live in this fabulous neighborhood with the new school that Supervisor Haney and I were just talking about making sure we get built. So it's a really fabulous opportunity, and one that we're really excited about, because this neighborhood has so many of the amenities that are going to be in Sunnydale one day, but aren't necessarily all there at the moment. So it's a really fabulous opportunity. All right, so enough about the building. Probably saying enough about anything, but I do want to just, the balance of the speakers here are really who you came most to see, I suspect. We are really fortunate to have Sister Lillian's family with us today, many members of the family. Jessie Cahill has graciously offered to say a few words about her aunt. Jesse's an educator who lives up in Santa Rosa, and she's going to say a few more words about her great aunt, not her great aunt, her aunt who is great.
Hi everyone, I'm actually not a part of Cahill Construction, so two different families. But to my family, Sisters of Mercy, Mercy Housing, and my Auntie Lo's closest friends, I thank you all for being here. As I was previously introduced to you all by Doug Shoemaker, Mercy Housing's president, my name is Jessie Cahill, one of Lillian Murphy's many nieces. Reflecting on the work my aunt did at Mercy Housing for 27 years is remarkable. Being able to have her recognized here today at one of the newest buildings of Mercy Housing is one of the greatest gifts my family will ever receive. As many of you know, my aunt was proud to be from San Francisco. Mercy House, as I looked from the top of the floor of this building and saw the skyline of San Francisco, I can't help but think how my aunt will be feeling at this moment. Her siblings, Babe, Cookie, Jerry, Jack, Bobby, Denny, and parents Dennis and Catherine could not be here with us today. But I know are looking down and thankful their sister and daughter are being honored here at this building. Her willingness to help people who are underserved in our community, her caring heart, and perseverance has been ingrained through our whole family. She was and still is a role model for our whole family. She portrayed a sense of calmness and ease when speaking to her. As a young girl, I looked up to her in the hard work she portrayed when working for Mercy Housing. I didn't know she was such a big celebrity here. Now as a future educator, I plan to use the same values in my teaching that she taught me. She is forever missed by our family and everyone she impacted while she was with us. May her legacy live on through Mercy Housing, our family, Sisters of Mercy, and Sister Lillian Murphy community. Always remember to live your life in the fast lane, just like my aunt did. If you know how she drove, that's how she drove. Lastly, on behalf of Lillian's sister Dolly and our extended Murphy family, we thank you, Mercy Housing, for dedicating this building in honor of Lillian Murphy. Thank you.
Share some stories, and Jane and others reminded us of one of Lillian's core beliefs, which was that building housing is not an act of charity, it's an act of justice, and so that's why we're here. Our board of directors several years ago actually created a Sister Lillian Murphy Housing Justice Award, which we give out to the staff member that does the most to advocate for social justice above and beyond their job. So her legacy lives on in many ways. I'll just say now, later as you go through, there's a lovely portrait of Lillian in the hallway behind there, and there'll be tours and folks who tell you more about that work. Also, before I forget, I never remember to thank Monica Yang, who is our organizer of these events. So Monica, I'm getting it early. She has something like 16 events in 17 days to do, so she's on, I'm just kidding. I'm from New Jersey, I have a hard time establishing the truth. I know what it is, but I just don't always like it. I was lucky enough earlier today to get a chance to meet one of the newer residents of the building. Not newer residents, but one of the original residents of the building, but new to me. Ephrem Gomez is born in the Philippines, emigrated here in the 1970s. He has strong roots in the Filipino community here. He lived in South Park, which some of you know is a lovely little neighborhood not far from here. And he has graciously offered to share a few words with us today.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I am Ephrem Gomez, son of the loved father, a U.S. Army veteran, Eustaquio Baluyo and beloved late housewife, my mother at the V.S. Baluyo. I was born in the Philippines and I came in San Francisco in 1972. I live with my parents and 6 siblings, 2 brothers, 3 sisters, and I'm the youngest one. I'm born on November 9th, and I'm a Scorpio, and I'm a people person. In 2004, I moved to Claritas Madrid Hotel, an SOR managed by Claritas Mission. I live in the 2nd floor. with 19 tenants. Then I call them my roommates. I share with kitchen and same bathroom with them. It was a good 6 years, but then some things changed under the new management. In 2019, all Madrid hotel tenants was moved temporarily in 2 locations. I wanted to stay and temporarily at American Best in Value Inn at Folsom Street. Around April 2019, I received an email from Daisy, but I got a confusion with Daisy. I call her Dahlia because Dahlia is the one the website. So Daisy, I said, I have to call Dahlia. Anyhow, I received from Daisy and told me that I am lottery number 1. And I submit my application, and in May 21st, 2021, Friday, I asked my social worker, Andrew, to go with me to sign my list. That day, I am a resident living in 691 China Basin. And I thank Sister Lillian Murphy Community, Mercy Property Management, Maureen, Sweet, and Neil. And I'm so grateful to all who assist me in my new home. God bless us all, and I thank you. And peace to everybody. Thank you.
You did me a favor because I was almost going to forget to thank Maureen McElheen, the leader of this. You did, but you reminded me. I mean, if you hadn't, I'd have been in big trouble. She's been with Mercy Housing for a very long time and is responsible for a lot of our great success. So Maureen and team over there, the property management. All right. There you go. So you're a combination of different flowers is apparently the takeaway here. When I met Ephrem earlier, it was really kind of astonishing because some of you probably, well, I imagine very few of you know where the Madrid Hotel is, but it happens to be the first project I ever worked on as a project. I wasn't even really a project manager. They just sort of sent me over there. I worked at Mission Housing early in my career, so it's phenomenal to hear about it. It's a lovely little building, notwithstanding the construction and whatnot, but a great little spot in South Park, and kind of funny just have that come full circle. I'm just gonna wax on for a while. I don't get the mic anymore, so too much, so I've been waiting. No, in any event, this is really the end of our program.
Yeah. Oh, you my darling.
Thank you.